Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome us to our third presentation for the weekend. Let's open with a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you for the blessing of being here this weekend, that we can come apart from our worries and our cares, that we can talk to one another, enjoy each other's companionship, and be blessed by your presence. Be with us in this study and answer our questions. In Jesus' name. Amen. So we continue in our question and answer. So Deniska asked a question. Someone gave you a question on diet, and in answering that question you spoke about the book of Hebrews. You've been speaking about it for a long time, and Deniska still doesn't see the connection between the book of Hebrews and the question on diet. Does anybody remember what the question was?
I think you didn't share it.
I didn't share the question?
I think so. You only said someone gave you a question on diet and you said, I want to answer it going to the book of Hebrews. I think you didn't share it.
I thought I shared the question, but I didn't give a specific answer to it. I thought I had shared it.
I don't remember you shared the question.
Oh, it was a long time ago now, so I think...
Okay, so Tomáš is saying that you actually referred to the question on diet that began in Slovakia, but I'm saying someone asked you later on, I think it was Guadeloupe or something like this, where they asked you the question on diet, and that's when you started. That's how I remember, but Tomáš says that you refer back to Slovakia about diet question.
Because that's what the... Does that need to get translated, or...? Okay, because that's what the questioner had done. So I was just repeating what the questioner... I thought I'd actually said that. I'm trying to find out where I... Does anybody remember what month it was? May. Couldn't have been May. April. It must be April, mustn't it?
Which one? For the Hebrew one is in May.
No, the original question.
That is Martinique. April. End of April.
I thought it was April.
And then in France, you continue.
Okay, so the question was, I thought I'd read it out. You said, this is translated so the English might not be correct. You said to eat what is good for us. This is a... Okay, yeah, carry on. This is a bit disturbing. But I would like to know if this is only for vegan or vegetarian diet, or is it in general? So that was the question. And so I haven't said that question before?
I don't remember that question being read out either.
Ever. No, not here, ever.
Did you do it in Florida or Arkansas?
No, I don't think so. You just said someone asked you a question, but you never actually read it out.
Okay, so I'm just... Okay, okay, so this was the original question. That wasn't the original question. This was the original question. You said in Slovakia, eat what is good for you. So I must have read the question because that's what Thomas is... How did Thomas know that then?
Because you mentioned Slovakia later on when you were talking about it, but you never read the question, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I'll read it now. First time. This is confusing, but I would like to know, is this limited to vegan diet or vegetarian diet? Okay, so everyone was here in Slovakia last year. Did I say that eat what's good for you? The questioner said I said that, and just to make sure that I did say that.
Remember you speaking about coffee?
So I spoke about coffee and I gave some guidelines on coffee. So the summary of that would be that you can eat coffee, you can drink coffee, I think. But the question was about eating what you want. So Aiden says I didn't quite say it that way. Peter?
What I remember is that you said that we can eat, when we go visiting someone, we can eat like dairy products.
Okay, so someone asked me a question, I believe, about if you visit somewhere, friends or family, whether it's better to fit in or to just tell them what you will or will not eat. So I gave some guidelines depending on the context about that. So I remember saying something along those lines. Anything else? I don't think the person imagined it. She's an intelligent person, she's very careful.
I don't remember these exact words, eat what you want. But I think the principle that came out of the studies was that everybody has to know what does good to their body and go accordingly to that.
So I said that?
Something along these lines.
Okay, isn't that what the questioner is saying? Eats what's good for you?
Yes.
So that's the bit that she's quoting. So you're agreeing that I did say that?
The principle was, I think, there.
Okay.
Was it off camera or on camera? Because we talked a lot about diet off camera.
You've got to translate? No, you've got to translate that? The questioner wasn't there. So it must have been on camera. So when I got the question, it sounded like it sounded fair to me, but I'm just confirming that we all agreed I said that.
Keď som dostal tú otázku, tak sa mi to zdalo také férové, ale chcel som si potvrdiť, že aj vy to tak vnímate.
And Monica's confirmed that I did say that.
Monika to potvrdila, že áno.
They're all good?
Áno, v poriadku.
Okay, so in the discussion, whatever the specific context was, I said we should eat what's good for us.
Teraz, akýkoľvek bol ten kontext, povedal som, že mali by sme jesť to, čo je pre nás dobré.
Okay, so no one would disagree with that statement.
S tým nebude nikto nesúhlasiť však.
It's a reasonable paraphrase of what Ellen White would say,
To je taká rozumná parafráza toho,
or
čo hovorí Ellen Whiteová,
has said. I mean, she actually said that.
čo povedala vlastne.
Everybody agree?
Súhlasíme s tým.
So there's no problem with that.
Takže s týmto nemáme problém.
If something troubles you, you shouldn't be eating it.
A keď niečo vám nerobí dobre, tak by ste to nemali jesť.
So the questioner has then asked something else on top of that.
A potom sa tento, kto sa pýta ďalšiu vec na vec.
So I don't know why it's confusing to them.
Neviem, prečo ich to metie.
So I don't know about that bit. I don't know what's confusing, because that seems to me straightforward.
Lebo mne sa to zdá také celkom priame, tak neviem, prečo je z toho zmetení.
Don't eat foods that cause you problems.
A nie jeste jedlo, ktoré vám spôsobuje problémy.
But then she said,
Potom ona hovorí,
is this limited to a vegan diet? It says vegan stroke veggie diet. Veggie means vegetarian, I assume.
je toto limitované na vegánsku, lomeno vegetariánsku stravu?
So I didn't ask her what the definition of vegetarian means.
Nepýtal som sa jej, čo je pre ňu definícia vegetariánstva.
If it's different to vegan or if it's a repeat.
Či je to isté ako vegánske, alebo je to len opakovanie sa.
So I got that question on, I think, I'm going to say the 20th of April.
Myslím, že 20. apríla som dostal túto otázku.
And then the second version, which is the first one I read to you today,
A potom tá druhá verzia, to je tá
if that
prvá,
makes sense.
ktorú som vám dneska čítal.
So now I'm at a second camp meeting.
To už som bol na druhom camp meeting.
So that was Guadeloupe.
To bolo,
That was Guadeloupe, I think, not Martinique.
to bolo v Guadalupe.
And then I'm at another camp meeting now in France,
A ja už som bol vtedy aj vo Francúzsku.
which wasn't live recorded.
A to
It
nebolo,
wasn't live streamed, sorry.
to nebolo vtedy streamované live.
Then I got a reminder that, am I going to answer this question?
A ona mi pripomenula, že odpovieš mi na túto otázku.
That's a week later.
To bolo o týždeň neskôr.
And then, so this was by an administrator or a leader, and then they redid the question.
We did.
They redid it.
A potom niekto, kto mi tam robil administratívu, tak mi tu trošku pozmenili tú otázku.
And when they redid it, they changed some of the words,
A zmenili tam určité slova v tom.
and this is how they phrased it.
A tak toto frazoval ten človek.
You said to eat what is good for us.
Ty si povedal, že máme jesť to, čo je pre nás.
That's the same,
To je to isté.
pretty much. Then they said, this is a bit disturbing.
A potom povedia, to ma trošku vyrušuje.
Originally the word was confusing,
A v pôvodnom texte bolo, že je to metúce.
so it's still not clear why.
Ešte som si neistý stále prečo.
But I would like to know if this is only for vegan or vegetarian diet,
Ale chcela by som vedieť, či toto sa týka len vegánskej alebo vegetariánskej strany.
or is it in general?
Alebo je to vo všeobecnosti.
Okay, so everybody understand the question?
Takže rozumiete tej otázke?
So I'm just looking in my notes, and my response to that was Hebrews 8.
A moja odpoveď na to bola Rímom 8.
So that was in April.
To bolo v apríli.
Florida. Um,
You did like a build up to people.
so I'm just going to write my notes. So my notes said that I go to a Spirit of Prophecy quote.
Ja sa teraz pozerám do mojich poznámok, takže v tých poznámkach sa píše, že idem do ducha prorockého.
Are we all familiar with the devotional that I may know him?
Poznáte ten taký rady zamyslenia, že aby som ho mohol poznať?
It's TMK, that I may know him, and it's page 299. Okay, so I can't remember if I read that or not because it's months ago,
Nepamätám si, či som to čítal, už to bolo pred pár mesiacmi,
but that's the reference,
ale toto je ten bod referenčný.
and the date for that is October 20th. You know how daily devotionals work? Everybody know that? It's a compilation that someone's done of Ellen White's writings, and you do 1 page a day.
To je kompilácia rôznych spisov a každý musí čítať jeden.
That's the reading. It's the reading. Page 299 is 20th of October, because it's you read it every year.
Je to 20. október, strana 299.
Families use it like for their worship or something. And the way they do it normally is they have a Bible quote, and then they have an Ellen White passage underneath it. That's how they normally do it.
Ja to tak, že tam dajú jeden nejaký biblický verš a potom citát od Ellen Whiteovej.
And they quote Hebrews 8:10.
A tam citujú Židom 8:10.
And then I did something really bad. So it took us to Hebrews 8:10.
Takže ten
You didn't-
zamyslenie na zberu.
Did you translate it? Then I said I did something really bad. Did you translate that?
Say it again.
I did something really bad, naughty. I did something naughty. I did something bad.
Robil som niečo také, čo som nemal, také vylomenie.
Which is what the Niska is picking up.
A to je to, čo si Deniska všimla.
Okay, so let's read Hebrews 8:10.
Poďme si prečítať Židom 8:10.
Hebrews 8:10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and I will write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people.
Lebo toto je zmluva, ktorú uzavriem s domom Izraelovým, dám svoje zákony v ich mysle a napíšem ich na ich srdciach a budem im Bohom a oni mi budú ľudom.
And what did I do that was naughty?
Čo som spravil, že čo tam bolo také, čo som nemal, čo to bola tá hlúposť.
Nothing? Oh, okay.
For me, the hardest part was that I didn't know the question, what it was, and you went to Hebrews, and I didn't know the original question. I think you didn't read it.
I can't believe that I just said I got some question and I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Okay, I don't want to defend myself, but that just sounds unusual.
Maybe you didn't answer the question. That is crucial.
I 100% didn't answer it. That's what so I agreed with Deniska's problem. I didn't answer the question, so she doesn't know what I'm doing in Hebrews. I agree with that. But I'm pretty sure I read the question, even if I just paraphrased it. Because I must have said something, because even Thomas remembers me saying something somewhere.
But you mentioned Slovakia
Sure.
later, but it's...
So he says in America later, I said Hebrews something, 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 and this is about the question on diet that was done in Slovakia. Must have said something like that, because that's what you said, yeah?
Takže hovoril som, že no, tak pred rokom sme sa rozprávali o životospráve na Slovensku, tak niečo som v tej otázke musel povedať.
But I did refer back to the Caribbean when I said that. I didn't just say it's a Slovakian question or a question from Slovakia. It's not a year. I'm pretty sure I said I didn't say. I'm pretty sure I didn't leave people thinking it was a year-old question.
Určite som ľuďom nedal myšlienku, že je to otázka, ktorá má rok, ktorá je už rok stará.
Okay, so what did I do that was bad?
Takže čo som tu spravil zle?
I went off topic.
Išiel som mimo tému.
And what did we launch into in Hebrews 8:10? What did I?
Do čoho sme vbehli v tomto Židom 80?
Because when we went there, something caught my attention.
Niečo zobralo moju pozornosť, keď sme tam išli.
What catches your attention?
Čo berie vašu pozornosť, keď to čítate?
Or if you remember all the studies we've done on it, you can just remember. And
Ak si pamätáte tie štúdie, ktoré sme robili.
we're in the movement. What should jump out at you and interest you?
Čo by vás toto, keď sme v tom hnutí, čo by na vás malo vyskočiť a úplne vás zaujať?
Go, Peter.
After these days. There was a change in time. There was a change that happened within a time.
Got a Bible? Have you got a Bible, or you don't? What does it say? What's the word? He's correct, but what does it actually say?
New Testament or New Covenant?
He said something about time. He said something about days.
It
changing
says
days.
after these days.
After these days. Yeah, yeah. So that should jump out at us,
To by na nás malo vyskočiť.
because that's what all we're interested in, isn't it?
To je to, čo nás zaujíma, nie?
So, what are the days for us after those days? What would those days be? When did they end?
Kedy skončili tie dni a čo to je po tých dňoch, ktoré sú tie dni?
This is not what the verse means. I'm saying when you read it as a member in the movement, what should that mean to you?
To nie je to, čo znamená ten verš, ale vy keď to čítate v hnutí, čo to znamená pre vás?
Even if you're wrong,
Aj keď sa milíte,
what should jump out at you?
čo by na vás malo vyskočiť?
So before you answer,
There's a new dispensation.
after
After these days. After
1989?
after the captivity.
after 1989,
Po 1989.
yeah, everyone in the movement should see that when they're reading it.
Všetci by ste to v hnutí mali vidieť, keď to budete čítať.
We should know, if we study properly,
Mali by sme vedieť, ak poriadne študujeme,
the verse does not mean after 1989.
že tento verš neznamená 1989.
So the mistake that I made, or what I did, was bad. It was not a mistake.
Chyba, ktorú ja som spravil, si myslím.
The question
Tá otázka
about diet,
o strave,
when I received the question,
keď som dostal tú otázku,
in my estimation, in my thinking,
po mojom myslení, ak som sa odhadol,
the answer is in the book of Hebrews.
tá odpoveď je v Židom. V knihe Židom.
So if I'd been good,
A ak som sa nemýlil,
Ari just got taken you straight to the place in Hebrews and said, this is how we're going to deal with it from a Bible. I'm going to answer your question with a Bible verse. That's what I should have done.
tak to, čo som mal spraviť, mali sme ísť rovno do Biblie a mal som povedať, odpoviem ti z biblickým veršom na tú otázku.
So often I like to give a Spirit of Prophecy quote to give some context.
Ale ja rád dávam kontext z ducha prorockého.
So Hebrews 8:10
Takže Židom 80
wasn't the answer,
nebola odpoveď.
the succinct answer.
Synced?
Succinct, the straightforward, simple answer.
Nebola taká jednoduchá,
I could have explained the question in my own words.
Mohol som to vysvetliť mojimi vlastnými slovami.
I wanted to give a biblical explanation to it,
Ale chcel som tomu dať biblickú odpoveď,
so it's not my opinion.
aby to nebol môj názor.
Like, I think we should do this or do that.
Ja si myslím, že by sme mali robiť to alebo tam.
Does that make sense so far? The logic of what I'm doing. Okay. The answer isn't in verse 10,
Odpoveď nie je vo verši 10.
but verse 10 is one of the verses that help contextualize what's going on.
Ale 10. verš je jeden z tých, ktorý nám pomáha urobiť kontext toho, čo sa deje.
So I go to the devotional that I may know him.
Takže išiel som do toho jeho denného zamyslenia, aby som ho mohol poznať.
We're not going to read the Spirit Prophecy quote in this class, I don't think.
Tu nebudeme teraz čítať ten citát ducha prorockého.
So I'm reading 8:10 in front of everybody.
Takže čítal som 80 pred všetkými.
Then something catches my attention,
A niečo zaujalo moju pozornosť.
which if I was good, I should have not let it do that.
Keby som to urobil správne, tak by som to nedovolil, aby sa to stalo.
So to me, I'm saying, after those days, I didn't literally say it, but I'm saying to everybody, after those days, that's amazing.
A ja som to čítal a ja hovorím, že no, po tých dňoch, to je úžasné.
So I went into a lengthy discussion
Takže sme išli do dlhej diskusie
about those days
o tých dňoch,
and how to look at all of that.
ako sa na to pozerať.
And people struggled with some of those thoughts and ideas.
A ľudia mali zápas s niektorými tými myšlienkami.
So there are two things: the days
Takže sú tu dve veci. Tie dni.
and what happens after the days.
A čo sa stane po tých dňoch?
It's called in the verse. What happens after?
Či sa nová zmluva.
So covenant is a deal, an agreement.
Zmluva to je dohoda medzi dvoma.
So there's a new agreement.
Takže je nová dohoda.
And what is the new agreement?
A čo je tá nová dohoda?
In the verse. You just read the verse.
Prečítajte
No
si
guessing.
verš.
What's the new deal that you didn't have before?
That we will have God's law in our hearts.
Not that we will just have it,
Nielen, že budeme mať Boží zákon v našich srdciach,
God says, I will put it.
Boh hovorí, že ho tam vloží.
Okay, so now God is going to be putting something into your heart.
Boh niečo vloží do vášho srdca.
And just from yesterday's study, we know we should have a problem with that.
A vieme od včerajšieho štúdia, že s tým by sme mali mať problém.
Because yesterday's conversation was built upon the 2017 presentation on the nature of humanity.
Lebo tá včerajšia konverzácia bola založená na prezentáciách z 2017 o ľudskej prírodzenosti.
And unlike Ezekiel,
A nie ako Ezekiel.
we know that God does not force feed us.
Vieme, že Boh na nás netlačí, nedáva nám niečo na silu.
Does everybody understand that little picture that I just did?
Ide tomu pri obrázku
The reference back to Ezekiel and force feeding.
Ezekielovi.
Everybody remember that?
Pamätáte si to?
Anybody know?
Viete?
Ezekiel's told to open his mouth and God stuffs a document down his throat.
Ezekiel mal otvoriť ústa a Boh do toho natlačil dokument.
He forces him to eat the document.
Prinútil ho zjesť.
Yep. You can read that if you don't remember it.
Prečítať, ak si to nepamätáte.
Okay, so you know that I, therefore hopefully you, should have a problem with putting things in your brain, which is your heart,
Viete, že vy, a teda ja a aj vy, by ste mali mať problém s tým, že Boh niečo vám bude vkladať do srdca.
Any questions so far?
Máte nejaké otázky zatiaľ?
So there are two issues.
Takže sú tu dva problémy.
After 1989,
Po 1989
God is going to do something to you.
Boh niečo urobí s vami.
And to understand what God's going to do to you,
A aby ste rozumeli, čo Boh s vami urobí,
we all don't have a common working knowledge of how that works and what it looks like.
máme všetci také bežné porozumenie toho, ako to funguje, ako to vyzerá.
So I felt I was forced
Takže som mal pocit, že som bol prinútený
by myself
mnou samým,
because I did something silly
som urobil nejakú hlúposť,
to try to explain what that experience is about.
aby som sa snažil vysvetliť, o čom je tá skúsenosť.
And so we went back to chapter 7, then chapter 6, and chapter 5.
Išli sme do 6. kapitoly, 7., 5.,
And by the time we got that far,
kým sme prišli až sem,
in English they say it's like going down a rabbit hole. We just got lost.
tak sme sa už stratili, už sme ako keby vošli do tej nory zajačej.
And then Deniska is voicing a concern that many people have is, what on earth are we doing?
A Deniska pomenovala niečo, čo vlastne má v hlave veľa ľudí. A čo to tu vlastne robíme?
So, going back to our original issue, after those days,
Takže keď sa vrátime k našej pôvodnej otázke po týchto dňoch,
before we went down that rabbit hole about the law and it going into your heart,
predtým ako sme sa dostali do tej zajačej nory o zákone a o našom srdci,
so I may or may not have asked it this way.
možno som sa mohol alebo nemusel spýtať takto,
What are those days?
čo to sú tie dni.
But I have a vague recollection
Ale mám také nejak si tak matne pamätám,
that I got at least one or two bad answers,
že som dostal aspoň jednu alebo dve zlé odpovede,
incorrect answers, I don't say bad,
nesprávne.
or that worried me.
Mal som ju troška
So today I didn't do that
to som dnes nerobil,
because I assumed that you've watched the presentations and you wouldn't get. I don't trick people, but you wouldn't get tricked.
pretože predpokladám, že ste pozerali tie prezentácie a už by ste sa nechali oklamať, ale ja by som myslel,
So before you answered, I said directly, this is not talking about our time, our days.
takže predtým, ako ste odpovedali, ja som už priamo povedal, že toto sa netýka našich dní.
But if you're in a movement and you read that, you would say 1989.
Ale ak ste v hnutí a budete to čítať, tak by ste mali hneď povedať 1989.
I think I asked the same question, but I didn't give any clues when I originally did it.
A myslím, že som sa pýtal tú istú otázku, ale pôvodne som vtedy nedal žiaden kľúč.
And in the midst of all of those questions, someone said, simply put, 1989.
A v strede všetkých týchto otázok niekto proste len jednoducho povedal ten 89.
And I either thought or said,
A ja som si buď myslel, alebo povedal,
how do you do that?
spravíš ako?
How can those days
Ako tieto dni
be 1989?
môžu byť 89?
They can't be.
Nemôžu.
So as soon as I know that someone's not looking at that properly,
Takže keď už viem, že niekto sa na to nepozerá poriadne,
and the cliche phrase we use, they're not using correct methodology,
klišé frázu, ktorú by sme použili, je, že nepoužívajú správnu metodológiu.
so I push a little bit further,
Tak som na to trocha zatlačil.
and then people say, oh, those days are what?
A ľudia povedali, že no tie dni sú čo?
You know who the author is?
Viete, kto je autor.
So what are the days? Christ.
Kristus.
Because Christ is the one that's going to give you the new heart. We know that.
Ktorý vám dá nové srdce. To vieme už.
You go to the Gospels or other places in the New Testament, and you already have that pre-information.
Pôjdete do Evanjelií a do Nového zákona, tie informácie už máme.
So people said, oh, it must be talking about after Christ comes on the scene, whatever the date is.
A ľudia povedali, no to musí byť vtedy, keď prišiel Kristus na scénu. To
Whether
musí byť
it's
že ktorý je ten dátum.
4 BC, the birth, or 27, the baptism. It's Christ.
Či je to 4 roky pred Kristom, alebo ten 27, ale je to Kristus.
Or 31, after Christ dies, then you're going to get this new covenant. Somewhere in that history.
Alebo v 31. roku, keď Kristus zomrie a tam budete mať tú novú zmluvu, niekde v tých dejinách.
And of course, that's the wrong answer, isn't it?
Ale samozrejme, to je zlá odpoveď však.
And then we did a bit of digging, and
Potom sme sa v tom trošku hrábali
I reminded people
a ľuďom som pripomenul,
that you should know by 2025
v 25. roku by ste mali vedieť,
that whatever percentages, I'm just going to say a quarter of all of Paul's writing is quoting Old Testament prophecies.
že neviem presne aké percento, ale poviem, že štvrtina tých Pavlových spisov je len citovanie Starého zákona.
We should know that.
To by sme mali vedieť.
So anytime you read something from Paul,
Takže keď čítame niečo od Pavla,
what's the first thing you should be doing?
čo by sme ako prvú vec mali robiť?
You should be checking that sentence and see if any of that is from the Old Testament.
Mali by sme si overiť celú tú vetu a zistiť, či sa niečo z toho nachádza v Starom zákone.
And it is, in this case.
V tomto prípade je to tak.
And where's it found?
Kde to nájdeme?
If you remember, or maybe you know. Jeremiah. So that takes us to Jeremiah. Do you remember at least the chapter?
Pamätáte si kapitolu?
31. And so when you get to Jeremiah 31,
Keď prídete do Jeremiáša 31,
that's the original place.
to je to pôvodné miesto.
So now you need to know 3 things.
Musíte poznať 3 veci.
You've already guessed the first one. After 1989,
Už ste hádali to prvé, to bolo po 1989.
and then you have to do after what?
Potom musíte spraviť čo? Po
Captivity. After captivity.
Which captivity?
Jewish, when they were in Babylon.
No,
No?
Tamina?
I said the 7 years, but sleeping.
70 years. Okay, no.
70 rokov.
We're in the book of Hebrews.
Ani zajatie nie.
What's Paul talking about?
O čom hovorí Pavol?
Which state do you think it is?
Čo si vy myslíte, o čom hovorí Pavol?
Which days?
Is it a crucifixion?
Okay, so the days have to be a what?
Takže čo musia byť tie dni?
What are these days?
Je to,
January
Time prophecy.
to je časové proroctvo.
126.
Yeah? So we know it's a time prophecy.
Časové proroctvo.
It's 2520 time prophecy, 126 years, as Tamina just said.
To je proroctvo 2220, 126 rokov, tak ako práve povedala tam.
That's why the verse should have jumped out at us.
Preto by to na nás malo vyskočiť ten verš.
Because you live or die, you stand or fall on 1989.
Vy žijete alebo zomriete, vy stojíte alebo padáte na 1989.
And you believe in 1989 a new message comes
Veríte, že v 1989 prichádza nové posolstvo.
after the period of darkness or persecution or punishment, however you want to phrase it.
Po období temnoty, prenasledovania, akokoľvek to chcete nazvať.
Okay? So now we're in the time of Paul.
Takže teraz sme v čase Pavla.
After what days? After what time?
Po akým dňom?
Where are you going to even find that?
Skúsme to,
Which book?
ktorá kniha,
Which book are you going to go to?
do ktorej knihy pôjdete,
The days that Paul's referring to.
o ktorých dňoch hovorí Pavol.
Daniel.
Kniha Daniel.
So you're going to go to the book of Daniel.
Takže pôjdeme do knihy Daniel.
And there's stacks of time prophecies there.
Tam je veľmi veľa časových proroctiev.
And so we've got, I'm going to put 70 weeks.
Tam sme 70,
And it's broken into so many bits and pieces, isn't it?
Tie sú rozdelené na mnoho kúskov, že?
Yeah? You've got 69 and 1, and it's all complicated.
Máte tých 69 a 1, niekto tam tak.
And when does it end?
Keď to končí?
When does it begin?
34 ends. 197. It ends it, Denny?
Začiatek je 457 a konec 34. The beginning is in 457 and
Sorry,
it
457? Is that what you
457.
said? 457?
It ends in 34.
34. And how long is it?
490. 490.
So we're okay with all of that? Yep. And then there's in the midst of the week, in the middle of the week, all of that.
Potom je tam ten stred toho týždňa, v tom poslednom to vieme.
So that's what Paul's referring to.
To je to, o čom hovorí Pavol.
When you get to the end of this prophecy,
Keď prídeme na koniec tohto proroctva,
we know that this is 27. Is that right?
že to je 27,
31,
31,
the middle of the last week.
stred toho posledného týždňa.
Somewhere at the back end of this, wherever your study takes you, there's going to be a new covenant.
Niekde na konci tohto už kamkoľvek vás tá štúdia zavedie, bude nová zmluva.
And now he's actually quoting Jeremiah.
A on cituje Jeremiáša,
So it's after what?
že je to po čom?
Captivity.
After captivity. So there has to be a time prophecy,
Je to po zajatí. To musí byť časové proroctvo.
which is,
Čo je?
I think someone already said that, Tamina, 70 years.
Že je to 70 rokov.
So you want to know all of that, but after 70 years,
Po 70 rokoch
then you're going to go into a new covenant.
pôjdeme do novej zmluvy.
Everybody okay with all of those things?
Myslím, že s týmto sme v poriadku však.
So people didn't seem to have a good grasp of that, so we spent some time looking at that.
Zdalo sa, že ľudia úplne v tom neboli doma, tak sme strávili nejaký čas nad tým.
Okay? When you do that, by the way,
Keď toto urobíte,
you can recycle some of that information.
tak môžete recyklovať niektoré z tých informácií.
When you start, especially this first one, the Jeremiah one.
Zvlášť toto prvé, ten Jeremiáš,
So we spent some time looking at that,
strávili sme aj nad tým nejaký čas,
trying to understand why and how Israel was punished,
keď sme sa snažili pochopiť, že ako a prečo bol ten Izrael potrestaný,
how the 70 years works through,
a ako funguje tých 70 týždňov,
how and why it comes to its end.
a ako to prichádza k svojmu koncu a prečo.
And the book of Jeremiah is complicated in its structure
Kniha Jeremiáša je komplikovaná vo svojej štruktúre,
because it's not all in chronological order. I think you probably all have an awareness of that.
lebo nie je to v chronologickom poradí, ale myslím, že o tom viete.
Because these days, after these days,
Lebo po týchto dňoch,
why does it end here?
prečo to tu končí?
Does Babylon say you've been very good, you can go now?
Povedal Babylon, no, boli ste veľmi dobrí, už môžete ísť.
Babylon gets destroyed.
Babylon je zničený.
That's what brings this captivity to its end.
To vlastne priviedlo aj to zajatie k svojmu záveru.
That's what brings their release.
A to im spôsobilo to uvoľnenie.
The kings of the east.
To sú tí králi východu.
We're okay with that? So, when does Babylon get destroyed in our time?
Kedy je Babylon zničený v našom čase?
After those days?
Po týchto dňoch.
Is it 1989?
Je to 89.
No, because 1989, it's beginning to do its work.
89. len začína robiť svoje dielo.
Yes? So what you can see straight away
Takže to, čo vidíte hneď,
is that when you sort of do this,
že keď to urobíte takto,
this application, its end,
táto aplikácia, ten koniec,
the days, don't really line up with the 126 that we use.
nie sú úplne v línii s tými 126, ktoré používame my.
Does that make sense, what I've just said?
Písal, čo som povedal?
Is anybody confused with what I've just said?
Je niekto zmetený z toho, čo som teraz vravel?
What is this event?
Čo je táto udalosť?
No, you said before.
The release or the end of probation. That's what Peter said.
Not a prophetic term. What actually marks that?
Prorocký, čo tam je vlastne,
Tamina said it twice now.
ste to dvakrát povedali.
Destruction of Babylon.
Zničenie Babylonu.
So when Babylon is destroyed,
Keď je Babylon zničený,
God's people are let free,
Boží ľud je prepustený na slobodu
and then they go into a new covenant.
a potom idú do novej zmluvy.
We know that historically correct. Yes?
Historicky, že tak sa to naplnilo.
Why does Babylon get destroyed?
Prečo je Babylon zničený?
Why?
Prečo?
Tells you in Jeremiah why.
V Jeremiášovi sa to píše.
But why does Babylon get destroyed?
What did she say?
The cup is full.
Ich pohár bol naplnený.
What cup and what filled it? A simple answer.
Pride?
Pride. We'll go with pride. Is this not Babylon that I created?
Toto je Babylon, ktorý ja som utvoril.
Okay, so when does that happen in our history?
Kedy sa toto stane v našich dejinách?
Close of probation.
Close probation.
Záver milosti.
Give me a Bible verse.
Dajte mi na to biblický verš.
I'm thinking about 19.
Bible verse. Which book are you in? Sorry? So you have to be in book of Daniel. So you should be in the book of Daniel. Where you want to go? 12:1. So Thomas has gone to 12:1. So we'll put it in parenthesis. 12:1. Any other options?
Revelation 18.
So we've got Revelation 18. In Daniel. Eleven. So Tamina wants to put 45. Any earlier?
Ešte niekto má inú myšlienku?
Any earlier? I'll put 42 to 45. Okay, so at first sight it all seems okay after 1989,
Na prvý pohľad všetko sa to zdalo v poriadku, že po 1989.
but if you take the actual history
Ale keď vezmete tie
of Jeremiah,
reálne dejiny Jeremiáša,
you see that it's actually talking about something in the future still for us.
tak vidíte, že sa tam píše ešte niečo stále o budúcnosti pre nás.
So either we're wrong with 1989 or we're going to, I'll just call it a double blessing is going to happen in the future.
Buď sa milíme s tým alebo poviem to tak, že v budúcnosti ešte prichádza dvojité požehnanie.
So the mistake I made was all of this seemed interesting to me, and he didn't answer the question.
To všetko ma zaujalo a nedal som odpoveď na otázku.
Okay, someone wants to say something?
Chcete niekto povedať niečo?
Take Paul's version, then you would be at the son-in-law, wouldn't you be?
Keď zoberieš verziu Pavla, tak budeš pri nedeľnom zákone, nie je to tak?
So I deliberately didn't go back to Paul and see how that would work.
Takže my to nešli k Pavlovi a nepozreli sme sa na to, ako by to fungovalo.
So all I'm saying is these prophecies seem simple initially, but they have layers to them.
Chcel som povedať, že tieto proroctva na prvý pohľad vyzerajú jednoducho.
So we,
Oni tam majú určité vrstvy.
You have to slow down because the other translators, they can't do it over Slovak. Slovak is, so I'm trying to be slow, but you keep going fast.
okay, you just told me to wait for you.
Okay.
I don't need to go slow. You just need to go slow.
I need to go
Yeah.
slow, yeah.
So we kind of stopped there, and then we looked at put the law in people's hearts
Potom sme sa pozerali na to, že dať zákon do ľudských srdc.
and explored that a little bit.
A pozerali, a to sme skúmali.
Then when we started doing that,
A keď sme začali robiť toto,
that's when we got to I can't even see the passage there. First selected messages 344.
tam sme išli do vybraných svedectiev 1:344.
Because when you go back to chapter 5, it's almost to the beginning of Hebrews really, but 4, 5, 6, when you start looking at them,
Keď pôjdete na začiatok knihy Židom, ale my sme robili 4, 5, 6,
Ja.
pozeráte sa na to.
we're forced to consider this whole aspect of our human nature.
Tak sme prinútení zvážiť celý tento aspekt našej ľudskej prirodzenosti.
And what it means to put the law in your heart.
A čo to znamená vložiť zákon do nášho srdca?
What does it mean to put your law in your heart?
Čo to znamená vložiť zákon do nášho srdca?
What would the consequences be? Let me put it that way.
Aké sú toho následky?
If you had the law in your heart, what would it look like?
Ako to vyzerá, keď ho máme v srdci?
We keep it and we're happy.
We happily keep the law.
S radosťou dodržiavame zákon.
That means we'd be sinless,
Sme bezriešní,
not doing any sin.
nehrešíme.
So, to achieve that,
Aby sme dosiahli toto,
we had some discussion
mali sme nejakú diskusiu.
because it's this recurring theme that I guess I speak about a lot,
Je to opakujúca téma, o ktorej hovorím veľa.
which is how our humanity works.
A je to to, ako funguje naša ľudskosť.
Okay, so I'm going to say we got that far,
Tak dostali sme sa potiaľ.
and then I may have got sidetracked or distracted with some other things.
A potom som trošku tak nejak išiel z cesty, lebo ma tej veci iné vyrušili.
And we're here today,
A sme tu dnes.
and Deniska says you still haven't answered the question.
A Deniska hovorí, stále sme neodpovedali na tú otázku.
And worse, I don't understand the connection between that and the book of Hebrews.
A ešte horšie je to, že ja nerozumiem prepojenie medzi tým a knihou Židom.
Okay, so hopefully that's a kind of a fair summary.
Tak dúfam, že som to tak férovo zhrnul.
We've only got a few minutes left, so I'm not sure if I can actually answer the question directly.
Máme už len pár minút, tak nie som si istý, či môžem priamo odpovedať na tú otázku.
But I wanted to take this opportunity to explain the reasons why we haven't got there.
Ale chcel som si zobrať túto príležitosť, aby som vysvetlil, prečo sme sa k tomu nedostali.
So I don't know if we're all Well, forget about this complexity. Let's not worry about that.
Zabudnime teraz na túto komplexnosť, o to sa nenabrávajme.
If we're all happy of how to interrogate a verse like this,
Ak sme všetci s tým v poriadku, ako vlastne vyšetriť takýto verš,
that we should know it's not about us, it's not about that particular context, but there's an original one.
mali by sme vedieť, že nie je to o nás, nie je to o tomto kontexte, ale že je tam pôvodný kontext.
And then you have to work out the differences
A musíte tam nájsť tie rozdielnosti medzi
and the similarities
zároveň podobnosti
between Paul's experience and Jeremiah's.
medzi skúsenosťou Pavla a Jeremiáša.
So if we're all kind of reasonably comfortable with that,
Ak s týmto sme celkom tak rozumne v poriadku,
are we then all comfortable with having laws in your heart?
sme pohodli s tým, čo to znamená mať zákon v našom srdci.
And Monica has said that means living the law happily,
A Monika povedala, že to znamená žiť zákon a byť šťastný.
not feeling anxious or compelled or condemned.
Necítiať sa nejaký v úzkosti, alebo prinútený, alebo odsúdený.
So there are two elements. There's law keeping,
Sú tu dve zložky. Je tu dodržiavanie zákona
and then there's an emotional connection to that, which means doing so happily.
a potom je tam emocionálne spojenie a to, že to robíme v šťastí a v radosti.
So I don't know if we have any problems or issues with that.
Neviem, či máme s tým nejaký problém.
I think it's the most beautiful thing to be happy with that.
Yes.
Ja myslím, že to je najkrajšia vec byť v tom šťastný.
So why aren't you happy?
Why am I not?
Okay. Are you happy?
I think I am happy.
Are you anxious?
Sometimes.
I get anxious when I don't understand what is required of me.
So you get anxious because you don't know what's required of you. What is required of you?
I mean, certain interpretations of how the law should be kept. If I don't understand it, if I'm not sure, I get anxious.
If I paraphrase that,
I translate myself.
yeah, do that first. So if I paraphrase you, what's required of me, which is you, this is what Monica says. What's required of me is to keep the law. Where's the law?
In my heart.
In your heart. That's why you're required to keep it. Yeah? So the law's there, so the law and you now have a symbiotic relationship. Is that the experience that the passage is talking about?
You're asking if
It's
it's
a
my
question to you
experience.
directly.
Um,
The way I've described it, is that the experience that the passage is talking about?
I think I just realized that I desire to be there.
It's not my current experience.
I'm not interested in whether it's your current or yesterday's
Or
or
what is your
tomorrow's.
question?
I'm asking the experience. Is that the experience is this verse describing an experience which is the following? You have the law in your heart, And therefore, you keep that law because it's part of you. It's not separate from you. It's your law. It's your code of conduct. It's not in some. It's not a picture on the wall of 10 commandments. It's not a law that's millions of miles away in heaven or buried in Israel. Because that's what Jeremiah did, didn't he? Buried the 10 commandments. They're still there somewhere. Yep. So that law is where? It's not even in you anymore, is it? You agree? It's not in you?
It's in my heart.
No, it's not in your heart.
Nie.
It's you. God is law, remember? Don't say I said something different. Don't say I said something different. You've got to translate. God is law. So don't say I said something different. The law is not in God, is it? Is the law in God? Just a question to anybody, I don't know. To me they said no. Is God a lovely person? So you can't translate. Thomas can take over. Okay, so the law is not in God. Hopefully we will agree that. God is not a lovely person or a loving person. God doesn't have loving characteristics. Do we agree with those statements? God is love. God is law. So what is God offering in Hebrews 8? God is not offering to put the law in you. I know that's what the words say, but that can't be so. So what is the experience that's been offered to us? Two things become one flesh, and therefore you are law. You don't follow the law, you are the law. So, that's a pretty high standard. And, we can say we're not there yet, whatever that means. But surely this passage must be a reflection of who and what God is, which we already know. Okay, so we've run out of time, but we'll press on a little bit more, so we'll try to answer Deniska's question. So, there's God, and there's all these foods in front of God. Food, choices. Does God say to someone, what am I allowed to eat? Does God say that, Deniska? No, God wants to eat something, And there's lots of things in front of God.
a je tu veľa vecí pred Bohom.
Does God ask someone for some advice on what God can eat?
A pýta sa Boh niekoho na radu, že čo môže jesť? No.
Why?
No. Prečo? He knows it.
Because God knows.
Pretože Boh to vie.
How does God know?
Because he's got his law in his heart.
He doesn't have the law in his heart, he is law. Yes. So according to the verse, God's already got the law in his heart.
Takže podľa toho verša Boh má zákon vo svojom srdci.
But the reality is God is law.
Ale realita je, že on je zákon.
So if God is law,
Takže ak Boh je zákon,
God can eat what he wants and doesn't need to ask anybody.
Boh môže jesť čo chce a nemusí sa nikoho pýtať.
Because the person that God would ask would then be over God
Pretože ten niekto, koho by sa Boh pýtal, by bol nad Bohom.
or God's teacher.
Alebo by to bol Boží učiteľ.
So if you have the law,
Takže ak ty máš zákon,
you are the law,
a ty si zákon,
you know all the rules.
ty poznáš všetky pravidlá.
So you don't need someone to teach you what the rules are because you already know them.
Takže nemusíš nikoho učiť tie pravidlá, pretože ich všetky poznáš.
So the question is,
Takže otázka je,
or the statement that I made is, eat what is good for you.
alebo to vyhlásenie, čo som spravil, je, že jedzte, čo je pre vás dobré.
So if you're a God
Takže ak ty si Boh
and you've got all these foods in front of you,
a máš všetky tieto jedlá pred sebou,
you should know what to eat, shouldn't you?
mal by si vedieť, čo môžeš jesť, že?
You don't need to ask anybody.
A nemusí sa nikoho pýtať.
So if that's the case,
Takže ak je to takto,
then this person says,
tento človek hovorí,
I'm confused by what you said
ja som zmetený tým, čo hovoríš.
because someone over there
Pretože niekto tam
told me I have to eat this.
mi povedal, že musím jesť toto.
I read somewhere over there that I'm supposed to eat something else.
Niekde som čítala, že to má byť niečo iné.
And I read in the Bible I'm supposed to eat this.
A v Biblii čítam, že by to malo byť toto.
And now you say something else.
A teraz ty hovoríš niečo iné.
Who am I supposed to listen to?
A koho by som mala počúvať?
And according to Hebrews,
Podľa Hebrejov? Myself.
yourself. If you have the law of God in your heart,
Ak máš zákon v srdci,
if you have that new covenant experience,
ak máš tento novozmluvnú skúsenosť,
then you don't need someone telling you what to eat.
potom nepotrebuješ nikoho, kto by ti hovoril, čo má jesť, čo máš jesť.
You work it out yourself.
Ale budeš vedieť sama.
And people are struggling with that.
A ľudia s týmto bojujú.
And that's why we're in the book. Sorry?
A rovnako to platí aj pri obliekaní.
And that's why we're in the book of Hebrews.
A to je dôvod, prečo sme v knihe Židom.
Yes.
Áno.
So that's not Hebrews 8:10. What verse is that?
To nie je
You tell me the verse.
Aký je to verš?
It's in chapter 8.
Je to v 8. kapitole.
So we'll let Deniska find the verse that answers the question.
Že necháme, že Deniska nájde verš, ktorý odpovedá na tú otázku.
Not verse 8.
Nie je to verš 8.
Yeah.
11? Verse 11. Once you get into that experience,
Keď sa dostanete do tej skúsenosti,
which is supposed to have been since 1989,
čo by nás malo priniesť do roku 1989,
and that doesn't mean since 1989 we're on autopilot, we do what we want. There's a growth.
a neznamená to, že v 89. môžeme si všetci robiť, čo chceme, je tam ten rast.
We'll read verse 11.
Budeme čítať Židom 8.11.
They shall not teach every person his neighbor,
A nebudú viacej učiť každý svojho blížneho
and every person his relative,
a každý svojho brata,
saying, Know the Lord,
hovoriac,
know what God wants you to do.
lebo ma budú všetci znať.
Why?
Prečo?
Because everyone shall know God I'm adding this bit in, for themselves.
Teda, lebo ma budú všetci znať, každý za seba.
Yeah, everyone know by themselves, for themselves. Yeah. From the least to the greatest.
Od malého až do po veľkého z nich.
So that's why we're in the book of Hebrews.
To je dôvod, prečo sme v knihe Židov.
So I don't mind answering people's questions.
Takže mne nevadí odpovedať ľuďom na otázky.
I don't mind sharing, thoughts.
Nevadí mi zdieľať myšlienky.
But I've been speaking for several years now.
Ale ja už som teraz hovoril niekoľko rokov.
I don't want to get into the realm of angels. I don't want to talk about angels.
Nechcem hovoriť o anieloch,
But I have said that we're all supposed to be teachers,
ale ja som povedal, že mali by sme byť učiteľmi,
not preachers.
nie kazateľmi.
And preachers tell people what to do.
A tí kazatelia hovoria ľuďom, čo majú robiť.
And they normally do it by instilling fear into them.
A zvyčajne to robia tak, že zasievajú do nich hnev.
Whereas,
Strach.
whereas teachers tend to educate people.
A učitelia majú tendenciu vzdelávať ľudí.
So the reason why I say that
A dôvod, prečo hovorím toto,
is to say that I'm not an oracle, which is
že hovorím, že nie som prorok.
an oracle is a person that you go to that knows everything.
Oracle is something like a prophet.
Yes.
Okay. Nie sa ako keby vešteň alebo prorok. Takým slovom myslím, že za ním prídete, že by všetko vedel.
So when people say, what am I allowed to eat and not eat,
Keď ľudia hovoria, že čo môžem jesť alebo nie,
either we're not after those days
tak buď nie sme po tých dňoch,
and you still need me to tell you everything,
stále potrebujete mňa, aby som vám povedal všetko,
or
alebo
we get to a place where people make their own decisions
sa dostávame na miesto, kde si ľudia vytvárajú svoje vlastné rozhodnutia
based upon the law.
na základe zákona.
I'll stop there.
A tu skončím.
Tamina?
How do you know that you've come to this place where you are in this experience of Hebrew 8 and 10?
Ako vieš, že sme sa dostali do tejto situácie, sorry, when you
ended that experience of Hebrew 8.
a keď sme ukončili tú skúsenosť s Hebrejom 8:10.
So the question is, how do you know you're there?
Otázka je, že ako vieš, že sme už tam.
My answer is, not my problem.
Moja odpoveď je, to nie je môj problém.
Because if you need me to tell you whether you're there or not,
Pretože ak potrebuješ mňa, aby som ti to povedal, či si tam alebo nie,
you're not there.
tak nie si tam.
And if you are there, you don't need me to tell you.
A ak si tam, tak nepotrebuješ, aby som ti to povedal.
So if you're not there,
Takže ak nie si tam,
why aren't you there?
prečo tam nie si?
What's the weak or missing link that you're not there?
Čo je tá slabosť alebo nejaký chýbajúci článok, to, že si tam nie si?
And if you are there, you should know.
A ak si tam, tak to vieš.
Now, remember, when we study new issues, new subjects,
A pamätajte, že keď študujeme nejakú novú tému,
it happens in different phases.
deje sa to v rôznych fázach.
So, phase 1,
Takže fáza 1,
where you begin,
keď začneš,
like a new adventure,
to je ako nové dobrodružstvo,
is like a theory,
ako niečo ako teória,
or sometimes we call it a parable,
alebo niekedy to nazvete podobenstvo,
or sometimes we might say we might express it like we say things in general terms.
alebo niekedy by sme to mohli nazvať takými všeobecnými
That's where we are now.
to je to, kde sme teraz.
We're just talking about things theoretically.
My hovoríme o tom teoreticky.
Is everybody's window shut? Oh, is she checking? Okay. Can you check everybody's window?
Prátka, pozrieš sa zavreté všetky okná?
So we're at the theoretical stage, so no one should feel bad. Mine's okay. No one should think, oh, I'm not there yet. Woe is me. I must be a sinner. When we're at this stage,
Keď sme v tomto štádiu,
we're exploring a theory or a thesis.
my objavujeme teóriu alebo tézu,
Then we all have to agree that it's correct.
potom budeme musieť súhlasiť, že je to správne,
Then we start giving examples
že začneme dávať príklady,
or make it, develop this idea into a living reality
alebo vytvárať túto ideu ako žijúcu realitu,
that we all in our own time, in our own way, begin to accept and incorporate.
že sme v každom tom našom vlastnom čase a vlastnej skúsenosti tu začíname zažívať a zúčastňovať sa toho.
So this is not me abandoning anybody.
Takže toto sa nesnažím niekoho abandoning,
Leaving you to work it out yourself.
nesnažím sa to nechať len tak na vás,
Nothing's changed,
nič sa nezmenilo,
but what I wanted to do is introduce this
ale to, čo chcem je, aby som toto uviedol,
because it takes weeks, months, years from when you first introduce a subject to when when it becomes some kind of living reality to people. It takes a long time.
pretože trvá to týždne, mesiace, roky, kým si to ľudia najprv s tým prídu do kontaktu a kým si to dajú kým sa to stane žijúcou realitou. Trvá to dlho.
And it's come to I call it my awareness.
A je to v mojom vedomí, na mojom vedomí,
Since we're in the Sunday law history,
že odkedy sme v histórii nedelného zákona,
it's about time that we should grow up.
je to čas, kedy by sme mali vyrásť.
And I use the word grow up not in a disrespectful way, but in the context of these passages.
A ja nehovorím to slovo vyrásť takým nerešpektujúcim spôsobom, ale v kontexte tejto pasáže.
Of maturity, having the law in our heart.
Vyrásť do dospelosti, do zrelosti, aby sme mali zákon v srdci.
We've already had the cry,
Mali sme už volanie
and now we're supposed to be living that experience. All of us know that.
a teraz by sme mali žiť túto skúsenosť, všetci nás to vedia.
So, all of us here and whoever listens afterwards, I'm not saying now I don't answer questions. That's not what I'm saying.
A teraz sa nesnažím povedať, že teraz nebudem zodpovedať otázky,
But if we don't grow, if we don't develop,
ale ak nebudeme rásť a vyvíjať sa,
all of you know Hebrews 8 to 12. You all know this passage.
každý pozná Židov 8.12, všetci poznáte túto pasáž.
And it's not difficult to know that it was after 1989.
Ale nebolo to zložité, že to bolo vtedy von.
But you will see now
Ale vidíte teraz,
that I've been gradually applying Hebrews 8:11 over the last several years.
že som tak postupne aplikoval Židom 8.10 za posledných niekoľko rokov.
The most obvious example of that,
A najočividnejší príklad toho,
I think on Friday we said, what's your last 12 months been like?
myslím, piatok sme povedali, ako vyzeralo posledných 12 mesiacov v vašom živote.
I explained mine,
Som vysvetlil svoje,
but one of the most obvious ones that we're all aware of, conscious of,
ale taký najočividnejší, ktorý všetci sme,
is the subject of the Sunday law.
je téma nedelného zákona.
And that's just over, the anniversary was 12 months ago, if you want to, if you accept that it's July 18.
A to výročie bolo len 12 mesiacov dozadu a to príjmate ten 18. júl.
But what I'm saying is, these principles and ideas of people being the law to themselves
Ale čo ja vysvetľujem je, že tento princíp toho, že ľudia sú si sami zákonom.
I've been gradually implementing into the movement for a long time now, at least 2 or 3 years.
Ja to postupne implementujem do hnutia dlhú dobu, po niekoľko, asi 3 roky.
Depending on your personality,
V závislosti od vašej osobnosti,
your interest,
alebo záujmu,
your ability.
schopnosti.
Many of us have found this a painful experience.
Mnohí z nás toto nachádzajú ako bolestivú skúsenosť.
Like you've been abandoned
Ako to, že ste boli zanechaní alebo opustení.
because no one, which means me, is answering your questions in the way that you want them answered.
Nikto, čo znamená, ja vám neodpovedám na tie otázky, ktoré chcete, aby boli zodpovedané.
This should hopefully be some form of explanation of why you felt that way.
Toto by mala byť nejaká forma vysvetlenia, že prečo to bolo takto vysvetlené.
It's not deliberate in the sense of malicious. It's not deliberate. I haven't been maliciously doing this,
Ja som to nerobil zámerne,
but it's been conscious
ale bolo to vedomé.
as I've seen time progress.
A ako som videl, že čas sa posúval,
I've felt that it's my duty and all of your duty to enter into this experience.
považoval som, že je to moja povinnosť a je to všetkých nás povinnosť
And-
vstúpiť do tejto skúsenosti.
And rightly or wrongly, I don't think you can just do that by yourselves.
A nemyslím si, že to môžete len tak urobiť sami.
You need some direction and guidance,
Potrebujete nejaké vedenie a nasmerovanie.
which is what I've done without verbalizing it.
Čo je to, čo som robil, bez toho, aby som to verbalizoval.
Okay, so we're really out over time.
Takže teraz naozaj už vypršal nám čas.
So I'll reread the question.
Takže zopakujem tú otázku.
Someone gave you a question on diet,
Niekto ti položil otázku o strave
and you spoke about the book of Hebrews,
a hovoril si o knihe Židom.
and I don't understand the connection.
A ja nerozumiem spojitosti.
So I'm not saying I fully answered it, but in this case, have I at least partially answered your question to your satisfaction?
Nehovorím, že som to plne zodpovedal, ale zodpovedal som dneska ti tú časti tú otázku.
What the connection is.
Čo je to spojenie alebo prepojenie?
When someone now says,
A niekto teraz hovorí,
what am I supposed to be eating
čo by som teraz mal jesť
or dressing?
alebo ako sa obliekať.
They expect me to give all these answers.
A oni čakajú, že im dám nejaké tieto odpovede všetky.
I'm not saying I won't answer the question,
Nehovorím, že neodpoviem na tú otázku,
but the connection is
ale to spojenie je,
everybody has to really begin to take responsibility for themselves.
každý by mal brať zodpovednosť sám za seba.
And the mistakes that people have made and are making
A chyby, ktoré ľudia spravili a robia,
is that if little to nothing is said about a subject,
že ak je málo alebo nič povedané ohľadne tejto témy,
people seem to think that's permission
ľudia si myslia, že je to dovolenie alebo povolenie
to create new laws.
vytvárať nové zákony.
And the covenant relationship doesn't give you that license to make new law.
A to nedáva vám to tú licenciu vytvárať nové zákony.
God says, I will take the existing law, my law, and put that in your heart.
Boh hovorí, že ja vezmem ten existujúci zákon, môj zákon a ten dám do vašich srdc.
Which doesn't give you permission to create new law.
Čo vám nedáva povolenie vytvoriť nový zákon.
What your obligation is to see how that law works for you.
A to, čo je povinnosť, je vidieť, že ako tento zákon pracuje, funguje pre vás.
And each of us can attest to the fact, attest means verbalize the fact, that it's difficult and painful to do that.
A každý môže verbalizovať ten fakt, že je to ťažké a bolestivé to robiť.
Let's pray.
Pomodlíme sa.
Holy God, we want to thank you
Svätý Bože, my ti chceme ďakovať
for helping and supporting us
za podporu a za pomáhanie,
as you desire each of us to grow.
A keď všetci túžime, aby sme rástli.
Many people have come before us.
Mnohí ľudia prešli pred nami
Many people are here with us.
a mnohí ľudia sú tu s nami
And there are people yet to come
a sú ešte ľudia, ktorí majú prísť,
who will be called to this high standing, this high calling.
ktorí budú povolaní na to volanie,
And like Lucifer
ako Lucifer
and many after him
a mnohí po ňom
will fail.
spadnú.
May each of us bow before you,
Nie každý z nás sa skláňa pred tebou,
covenant.
zmluva,
May we each be determined
a nech každý sme odhodlaní,
that we won't be part of those who fail.
že a nebudeme, aby sme neboli medzi tými, ktorí spadnú.
We'll accept the high calling,
Aby sme prijali to vysoké povolanie,
however difficult and painful it might be,
akokoľvek náročné a bolestivé to môže byť,
and enter into the experience, the promise
a aby sme vstúpili do tej skúsenosti, toho zasľúbenia,
that's brought forth in the book of Hebrews.
ktoré nám bolo dané v knihe Židov.
Amen.